In the heart of the city, beneath the unsuspecting streets, lay a forsaken place known as the Pool Rooms. It was an underground prison, a structure long abandoned on blueprints yet thriving with life's darkest whispers. The air was damp, thick with an unshakable sense of despair that clung to the walls like a deathly shroud. The prison's name echoed the grim irony of its existence. It housed not only the most hardened of criminals, but also the broken souls who had lost their way. Each day, silence shattered at the crack of a guard's boot as Officer Hayes patrolled the dimly lit corridors. With a hulking frame clad in a black uniform, he cut an imposing figure that commanded respect and fear alike. The guards in the pool rooms were not trained to rehabilitate, they were sent to contain. Watching with vigilant eyes as rebellion simmered among the inmates. Lethal force was their only language, and they were well versed. As the fluorescent lights flickered above, casting eerie shadows across the peeling walls, Hayes reached the first cell block. He stopped outside a small, reinforced window, looking in as the inhabitants shuffled within. The scent of sweat and despair wafted through the bars, mixing with the musty air. Inmates weren't allowed contact with the outside world, not even an occasional visit from a doctor or a priest. Here, humanity faded under the weight of their felonies. A muffled clamor echoed through the hallways, the sound of desperation morphing into rage. Hayes stiffened, his gloved hand instinctively resting on the cold grip of his sidearm. He knew there were rumors swirling among the inmates, whispers about escape plans and alliances forged in darkness. In this concrete tomb, hope was a dangerous game. As he turned the corner, his boots squeaked against the waterlogged floor. Suddenly, a voice sliced through the air. "Officer Hayes." It was Ellis, the youngest inmate, eyes wild with determination. "You have to help us." Hayes paused, but didn't reply, moving forward with a steely resolve. Ellis lunged toward him, desperation etched across his face. "They're planning something big. A breakout. We need you to join us. If you want to get out of here." Hayes's brow furrowed. The audacity of an inmate to suggest such a thing was both perplexing and infuriating. "You should watch your mouth, Ellis. Speaking of escape will get you put in the hole." "But you don't understand," Ellis insisted. "You're not like the others. You want to make a difference." Hayes recoiled, taking a step back. In the years he had worked in the pool rooms, no one had ever looked at him like that, like he held the power to change fate beyond the barrel of a gun. A flicker of something unrecognizable welled up inside him, but he quelled the feeling with a stern shake of his head. There was no changing the system they were both trapped in. As he continued his patrol, the words shrouded his mind, "make a difference." Each step he took into the depths of this hell remained a reminder of the humanity that had been stripped away from these walls, from him. The tensions escalated that night. A faction of inmates made their move, using the cover of darkness to ignite chaos. Alarms blared like furious sirens, echoing through the prison as the sound of a rattled cage became a symphony of rebellion. Inmates surged, shouting, fighting for a chance at freedom. Hayes found himself navigating the mayhem, every instinct honing in on survival. He could hear the guards' voices calling for backup, clashing with the cries for justice from the inmates. It was pandemonium, a moment where the lines blurred as both sides unleashed fury. Hayes felt the heat of conflict wash over him, a strange, unfamiliar urge rising, an impulse to protect rather than obliterate. Then he remembered Ellis. With a jolt of awareness, Hayes yanked the baton from his side, plunging into the fray, where shoves and curses became a cacophony of chaos. He spotted Ellis, cornered by three guards who had lost control, their professionalism abandoned in the mire of panic. "Ellis!" Hayes shouted, his voice cutting above the din. In a split second, he saw the fear in the boy's eyes, fear not just of the guards, but of the future beyond these walls. With a burst of adrenaline, Hayes intervened, swinging his baton with precision, taking down one officer who'd crossed the line from discipline to cruelty. "Run," he urged, his heart racing as he made a series of strategic moves, providing Ellis with the chance to escape. The boy hesitated for a brief moment, looking back at his savior before bounding into the shadows, a glimpse of hope flickering behind him. As the riot escalated, the words from earlier surged back, "Make a difference." Maybe, just maybe, this action could redefine who he was, who he wished to be. Officer Hayes found himself fueled not by fear, but by a flame of change that he had long suppressed within him. By dawn, when the dust settled and the chaos subsided, the pool rooms would still stand, battered yet unbroken. But within those haunted walls, change was slowly weaving its way through the cracks. The fight for freedom would continue, and perhaps Hayes had initiated a ripple that might one day overthrow the darkness that held them all captive. In the heart of despair, a glimmer of rebellion had been born. And Officer Hayes, a reluctant guard turned unlikely ally, would never look at this underground prison the same way again.